Hey there, wonderful people. Welcome to our channel and another heartwarming story time. Have you ever wondered how some people manage to stay happy, no matter what life throws at them? It's a question that's puzzled many of us, especially during tough times. Today, we're going to explore this idea through a heartwarming story about an old woman. Her tale might just change the way you think about happiness. So, let's dive in and discover how we can find joy in every situation. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived an old woman named Clara. Clara was known throughout the village for her constant smile and cheerful demeanor. No matter what happened, good or bad, Clara always seemed to be happy. This puzzled many of the villagers, especially the younger ones. They couldn't understand how someone could be so content all the time. One day, a curious young girl named Sophie decided to ask Clara her secret. Sophie knocked on Clara's door, and the old woman greeted her with a warm smile. "Come in, dear," Clara said, inviting Sophie inside her cozy little house. Sophie sat down at the kitchen table, and Clara offered her a cup of tea. "Clara," Sophie began, "I've always wondered how you manage to be so happy all the time. Can you tell me your secret?" she asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Clara chuckled softly and said, "Oh, my dear, it's not really a secret at all. It's just a simple way of looking at life that I learned many years ago." Clara went on to explain her philosophy to Sophie. "You see," she said, "every situation in life has both good and bad aspects. Most people focus on the bad things, which makes them unhappy. But I choose to focus on the good things, no matter how small they might be." Sophie listened intently, trying to understand Clara's words. "But how do you do that?" she asked. "Especially when really bad things happen?" Clara nodded, understanding Sophie's confusion. "Let me give you an example," she said, her eyes twinkling. "A few years ago, I fell and broke my arm," Clara began. Sophie gasped, thinking how awful that must have been for an old woman. "Now, many people would have been very upset about this," Clara continued. "They would have focused on the pain, the inconvenience, and the long recovery. But do you know what I thought about?" Clara asked with a smile. Sophie shook her head, curious to hear Clara's perspective. "I was grateful that it was only my arm and not my leg," Clara said. "I was thankful for the kind neighbor who helped me get to the hospital. I appreciated the skilled doctors who took care of me. And I was happy for the extra time I got to spend with my family while I recovered." Sophie's eyes widened as she began to understand. "So, you're saying that even in bad situations, we can find good things?" she asked. "Exactly," Clara exclaimed, clearly pleased that Sophie was catching on. "It's all about where you choose to put your attention," she explained. Clara went on to share more examples from her life. She talked about how she found joy in rainy days by appreciating the sound of raindrops. She spoke about finding happiness in doing chores by being grateful for having a home to clean. Even when she lost her husband, Clara found comfort in the beautiful memories they had shared. As Sophie listened, she began to see how this approach could change everything. "But isn't it hard to always think this way?" she asked Clara. "Oh, it certainly can be at first," Clara admitted with a gentle laugh. "It takes practice, just like any other skill," she explained. Clara then shared some tips with Sophie on how to cultivate this positive mindset. She suggested starting each day by listing 3 things to be grateful for. She advised looking for the silver lining in every situation, no matter how small. Clara encouraged Sophie to surround herself with positive people who lift her spirits. As their conversation went on, Sophie felt a shift in her own perspective. She began to see how she could apply Clara's wisdom to her own life. The problems that had seemed so big before now felt more manageable. Sophie realized that happiness wasn't about having a perfect life. It was about choosing to focus on the good, even in imperfect situations. Before Sophie left, Clara gave her one last piece of advice. "Remember, my dear," she said, "happiness is a choice we make every day. It's not about ignoring the bad things, but about choosing to focus on the good. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes." Sophie thanked Clara for her wisdom and left with a newfound sense of hope. As she walked home, she began to notice things she had overlooked before. The warmth of the sun on her face, the beauty of the flowers in her neighbor's garden. She realized that Clara's secret wasn't really a secret at all. It was a simple truth that was available to anyone who chose to see it. From that day on, Sophie started to practice Clara's approach to life. She found herself becoming happier and more content, just like Clara. And as she grew older, she too became known for her constant smile and cheerful demeanor. Sophie had learned that true happiness comes from within. It's a choice we make, regardless of our external circumstances. And there you have it, friends, the inspiring story of Clara and her secret to happiness. It's a simple yet powerful lesson that we can all apply in our lives. Remember, happiness is a choice we make every day. It's about focusing on the good, no matter how small, in every situation. Why not give it a try? You might be surprised at how it changes your perspective. If you found this story helpful, please like and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content like this. Until next time, stay positive and keep choosing happiness.